You know that feeling on a Sunday night when you decide you are going to just completely overhaul your entire life?
Oh, yeah. You sit down at the kitchen table, you pull out a brand new, pristine notebook.
Exactly. And suddenly you're drafting this massive, like, 10-point master plan. You're going to wake up at 5 a.m., run 5 miles, meditate for an hour, and, eat nothing but kale.
Right, right. You're essentially designing a rigid schedule for a completely different human being. I mean, someone who doesn't actually exist in your current reality.
Yeah, and it feels amazing in the moment.
Yeah.
But then Monday morning hits, the alarm goes off, and the gap between that pristine notebook and the reality of a cold, dark bedroom is just, it's massive.
There's a huge disconnect.
So welcome to this deep dive. Today we've got this fascinating stack of behavioral science research and notes on habit formation right in front of us.
And our mission today is really to strip away all that overwhelming, complicated advice about building habits. We want to simplify this, especially for beginners.
Right, because if you're listening to this, you already know you're supposed to eat your vegetables and go to the gym. You know that.
Exactly. The goal today is to discover how starting ridiculously small is actually the secret to building unstoppable long-term momentum. In a world of massive information overload, the most profound behavioral changes actually come from understanding why we do things, not just forcing ourselves to do them.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because looking through these notes, there's a surprising insight right off the bat.
Right.
We usually think of habits as rigid routines, right? Like brushing your teeth or making the bed.
Right.
But the research actually frames habits simply as solutions to the recurring problems in our environment.
Yeah, and that framing, it really shifts the entire paradigm. Life is basically just an endless series of recurring problems.
Oh, give me an example.
Well, let's say you finish a grueling, super stressful day at work. You walk through your front door and your nervous system is just entirely depleted.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Right. That state of exhaustion is a recurring problem. And your brain, which is this highly efficient, energy-conserving machine, demands an immediate solution to that exhaustion.
That's a really distinct shift in perspective. Because if we view the habit as just a tool, then the person who goes for a 30-minute run to blow off steam and the person who steps onto the back porch to smoke a cigarette, they're actually trying to achieve the exact same thing.
Precisely. They are both trying to downregulate their nervous system. And the solutions we rely on to do this aren't usually consciously chosen after some rigorous analysis. I mean, by the time we reach adulthood, most of our solutions are entirely inherited.
Inherited, like from our families.
Yeah, you absorb them from your parents, your peer group, or just the broader culture. You didn't invent the concept of eating a pint of ice cream when you're sad, right? You absorbed it as a culturally validated solution.
Wow. Okay. That makes so much sense. But recognizing that your current habits are merely inherited tools, I feel like that gives you the space to evaluate whether they're actually the most effective tools for the job.
It does, but that realization usually triggers the exact trap that beginners fall into. When people realize their current solutions are suboptimal, they swing the pendulum to the absolute furthest extreme.
The Sunday night notebook.
Exactly. They don't just want to swap out the ice cream for an apple. They decide they need to become a raw vegan triathlete by Tuesday.
Right. Dreaming up that massive, ambitious plan.
Which is, ironically, the fastest way to guarantee failure. You're trying to leap over the chasm in one bound, completely ignoring the metabolic cost that massive change requires from your brain.
It's like the physics of pushing a stalled car.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, because the absolute hardest part of moving a dead car is just getting the tires to budge that very first inch. It requires a massive amount of physical torque to overcome the static friction. But once it's rolling, the kinetic friction is much lower. You can keep it moving with one hand.
Exactly. And people are out here agonizing over how they're going to push the car 100 miles.
Right. When the only physics problem they actually need to solve is budging the tire one single inch.
Yes.
But wait, let me push back on this a little bit. If we need to budge that tire, isn't a massive, ambitious goal necessary to generate that initial torque? Don't we need that high-octane vision board to get fired up enough to start?
Well, this raises an important question about how we fundamentally misunderstand motivation. We treat motivation like it's the continuous fuel for the engine.
Right.
But neurologically, motivation is just a spark plug. It flashes incredibly hot and then it dissipates. It's fleeting because it relies on emotional states, which are inherently volatile.
So you might feel highly motivated on a Sunday evening after watching like an inspiring documentary.
But that neurochemical cocktail will be entirely gone by a rainy Tuesday morning.
So relying on motivation is basically relying on the weather.
That is exactly what it is. Real success doesn't rely on maintaining a perpetual state of high motivation. That's biologically impossible anyway. It relies on making the starting line so incredibly low friction that you don't require any motivation to cross it.
You just have to overcome the procrastination of those first 30 seconds.
Precisely. Make it incredibly easy to get started.
Okay, so if motivation is just a fleeting spark plug, then this anecdote in the notes about a guy named Mitch suddenly makes complete sense.
Yes. The 5-minute rule.
Right. So Mitch wanted to get in shape, but instead of the Sunday night master plan, he instituted a rule that sounds, honestly, entirely counterproductive. He was strictly forbidden from staying at the gym for more than 5 minutes.
It sounds completely paradoxical to anyone focused purely on physical outcomes.
Yeah, he would get in his car, drive to the gym, walk inside, pick up a dumbbell for maybe a minute, look at the clock, realize his 5 minutes were up, and literally walk out and drive home.
And if you look at that behavior purely through the lens of caloric expenditure, it's totally useless. But if you look at the underlying neuroscience of what Mitch was doing, it's a masterclass in behavioral design. Habit building is basically just learning, and learning relies on neuroplasticity.
Which is your brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections, right?
Exactly. Mitch wasn't trying to learn how to do a full, exhausting workout yet. He was using what's called instructional plasticity to learn the specific correct answer to a simpler problem, getting through the front door.
I love this quote from the sources. It says, "The heaviest weight at the gym is the front door."
Because the front door represents a massive accumulation of tiny cognitive hurdles. What gym am I going to? What time? Do I have clean workout clothes? Where's my water bottle?
Oh, for sure. Each one is a friction point.
Right, and each friction point requires executive function to solve. By stripping the workout down to 5 minutes, Mitch reduced the friction cost in his brain's decision-making center.
So he wasn't training his muscles at all. He was training his brain to just show up.
Every time he drove there and walked in, he was physically thickening that neural pathway, making the act require less metabolic energy each subsequent time.
But what does this all mean for the listener? I mean, practically speaking, because if I only practice Spanish for 2 minutes or I write one single sentence of a novel, aren't I just wasting my time? I'm not going to become fluent or write a book at that pace.
Well, what's fascinating here is that consistency enlarges capacity. Doing something, anything on a bad day is infinitely better than putting up a 0.
Wait, really? Even just one sentence?
Even just one sentence, because the bad days actually matter more than the good days. They build the fundamental skill of being a person who shows up. If you put up a 0, you are practicing the habit of quitting.
Wow. Okay, so doing the 2-minute version keeps the momentum alive.
Exactly. It preserves the neural pathway.
So if showing up is the whole game, how do we practically make showing up effortless? The sources point to the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Right. Those are the core mechanics of manipulating environmental friction.
And there are some great, really specific tricks here. Like there's a reader in the notes who actually sleeps in their running clothes.
I love that one.
Right. To completely remove the morning friction. When the alarm goes off, they don't have to think.
Yeah.
Or the guitar player who wanted to practice more, but kept his guitar in the closet.
And out of sight is out of mind.
Exactly. He finally started practicing because he moved the guitar out of the closet and put it on a stand right in the middle of his living room, where he had to walk past it 30 times a day.
He made it obvious and easy. And, to break bad habits, you simply invert those laws. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying.
So adding friction.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, if you want to stop eating sweets late at night, put them on the highest shelf in the garage. Increase the friction so much that your brain decides the reward isn't worth the effort.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting to me. Your environment is basically like gravity.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Right. If the guitar is hidden in the closet, the gravity naturally pulls you toward the easiest thing, which is usually the TV remote on the couch.
Yep.
But let me challenge you on this. What if the gravity isn't an object?
Yeah.
What if you live with people who don't share your goals? What if your social environment's gravity is pulling you the wrong way, like your roommates order pizza every night?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the social environment is a massive, massive force. Humans are deeply wired to belong to a tribe.
So we naturally want to fit in.
Exactly. We subconsciously adopt the habits of the group because standing out historically meant, well, getting kicked out of the tribe and dying.
Oh, wow. So it's survival.
It is. The solution is to join or create groups where your desired behavior is the normal behavior. If you want to run, join a running club. It makes it so much easier to rise together when the group norm is already the habit you want.
That makes total sense. You let the social gravity pull you in the right direction instead of fighting it. Okay, so let's shift the focus to the long-term payoff here. Once you simplify the start to just 2 minutes, and you set up your physical and social environment, how does this actually change your life?
This brings us to the concept of identity. Every action you take is essentially casting a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
A vote?
Yeah, think about it. Sitting down to study for 20 minutes isn't just about passing a test. It's a vote for being a studious person. You aren't just trying to achieve a goal, you are reinforcing a new identity.
Oh, I see. So it's not about perfection or like avoiding the occasional bad day. It's about this rule in the notes to never miss twice.
Exactly. Slipping up once is just a blip.
But missing twice is the start of a new bad habit. It's exactly like a political election.
How do you mean?
Well, you don't need 100% of the votes to win an election and become that new identity. You just need the majority of the votes.
That is a perfect way to phrase it. True consistency is actually adaptability. You don't need to do the perfect peak performance version of your habit every single day.
Right, because nobody has peak energy every day.
Exactly. On a low energy day, just do the easy version. Just cast the vote. That flexibility is the absolute bedrock of long-term momentum.
Okay, so to summarize all this for you listening, you don't need to overwhelm yourself with massive goals. You can leave the pristine Sunday night notebook blank.
Yes, please do.
Just optimize the first few minutes, tweak your environment to make it easy, and focus on casting small daily votes for the person you want to become.
And before we go, I want to leave you with one final thought to ponder, something we haven't touched on yet.
Oh, lay it on us.
We've spent all this time talking about building new habits, but consider your current bad habits for a moment.
Okay.
What if your worst habits aren't actually failures of willpower at all? What if they are just perfectly successful adaptations that your brain created to survive a highly stressful or difficult environment from your past?
Wait, really?
Yeah. And if that's true, it means you aren't broken. You just need to update your software for the season of life you are in right now.
You aren't broken. You just need a software update. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into these notes. We hope you feel empowered and ready to start small. See you next time.